2013 is coming to an end, and during this year I've read some really good books and some not so good books. Today's video is going to be my top 13 of 2013. I have 13 amazing books to show you, so let's just get started. The first book that is one of my favorites in 2013 is The Unbecoming of Dyer by Michelle Hodkins. This is the first book in a trilogy, and the second book in the trilogy has been published, but not the third one. This book deals with Dyer. Dyer wakes up in a hospital in the beginning of the book, and she doesn't remember a thing about a night she had with her friends in which an accident happened. Her friends didn't survive the accident. Dyer is the only survivor, and she doesn't remember a thing. She starts going to school again, and she starts being with her friends. However, mysterious things start happening as well. For instance, she sees some ghosts, and things that she wishes will happen do happen. The thing about the series that I really love is that we have an unreliable narrator. We never really know as a reader what is true and what is not true. We believe some things, but then later in the series we realize that that wasn't true. I definitely recommend this series if you like some mysterious young adult fiction. Next book that is one of my 13 favorites of 2013 is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I really love this book. I loved it so much that I still think about it sometimes, even though it's been months since I last read it. Basically, this book deals with Kath. In the beginning of the book, she starts in college with her twin sister, and the two of them have been best friends so far. However, they start growing apart in this book. So Kath is left alone in her college room. Kath is writing fan fiction, and fan fiction is when you write stories that have already been published. That means if you have a book that you really loved, you can write an alternative ending, or you can just change the story but use the same characters. And that is what Kath does. The book that she is doing fan fiction on is a book called Simon Snow, and Simon Snow is the equivalent to Harry Potter. The thing that I loved about this book is that it's funny, the story is really good, and I love the characters. I loved Kat and also the friends that she has, and also her family. I don't know what it is. This is an ordinary book. Nothing really amazing happens, but still I can't seem to forget it, and I loved it so much. So you definitely should pick this up if you feel like reading some contemporary young adult fiction. Then I have Wonder by R.J. Palacio. This is such a touching book. I loved it so much. It deals with August, who is born with a facial deformity. That means he doesn't look like other people, and that of course means a lot of trouble for him. In this book, his parents want for him to start on public school. August really doesn't want to do that, but his parents really want for him to do it, so he does it. Basically, we hear about how the other kids at school treat him. Some are nice, some are not that nice. I just really loved it because it was touching, and the main character, August, is just so sweet and adorable, and his parents are the best, even though they want for him to start in public school. It may sound harsh, but it is actually a good thing, I think. This is definitely one of my faves of 2013. Then we have The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. This is also part of a trilogy, and this is the first book. In this book, children and teenagers in America are dangerous. They are suffering from a virus that makes them dangerous, and they are categorized into colors according to their danger. For instance, some of them are green, others are yellow or blue, and some are red, etc., etc. In this book we hear about Ruby, our main character, who is locked up in a rehabilitation camp, and that is a camp for those teenagers who are dangerous. She has been living there for 7 years. In this book she gets help from something called Children's League to escape this camp. Once she has escaped, she realizes that she doesn't really like these Children's League. So she escapes once again from them, and she meets up with 3 other teenagers who are also running from these camps. Basically, this book deals with how these 4 teenagers work together, how they try to escape, and how they try to come up with a solution to everything. I loved it so much. I think it's both dark, but it's also very interesting, and it's very funny, and the characters are so adorable. We especially have a little girl called Sue, and Sue is just so nice. Then we have Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a series of 4 books, and this is just the first one. The thing that I love about this series is that it is about aliens. And I never thought that I would like a book about aliens, but this is just so beautifully written. It deals with Kat, who moves to West Virginia with her mother. Their new neighbors are kind of mysterious, but Kat wants to meet them, so she goes over there and she meets Damon, who is the man on the front page, and his sister Dee. She quickly becomes friends with Dee, and she also falls in love with Damon. Then she realizes that they are aliens, and of course things get complicated from then onwards, and this series is just, it's mind-blowing because it's new, it's fresh, it's original. I've never read anything like this before and I really loved it. And I believe that the first book and the 4th book in the series are the best. Then I have picked Vampire Academy by Richelle Mead. This is a series of 6 books, and that sounds like a lot, but you just fly through them once you begin. This is the 5th book in the series, and I've picked this one because I believe that's the best of the bunch. In the series we hear about vampires. We have both vampires, but we also have demi-vampires, and that is vampires that are both half vampires and half humans. Rose is the main character. She is a demi-vampire. Lisa is her best friend and she is a vampire. Rose's job is, besides being Lisa's best friend, she has to protect Lisa from something called Strigoi, and Strigoi are evil kinds of vampires. A lot of things happen, and we also hear about them going to school at this St. Vladimir's Academy, in which you go to school when you are a vampire and learn some cool tricks. I definitely recommend this series, and the 5th book is just the best one, I think. Then I have chosen Allegiant by Veronica Roth, and this is the 3rd book in a series called Divergent. I'm sure that most of you have heard about this series, but if you haven't, I will tell you now what it is about. This is about Tris, who lives in a world in which you are divided into factions. That means when you are about 16 years old, you will have to choose a faction, and there are 5 of them. First we have the Candor faction, and that is the honest people. Then we have the Abnegation faction, and that is the selfless people. The Dauntless faction, which is the brave people. The Amity faction, the peaceful people. And the Erudite faction, the intelligent people. Tris, our main character, is being told to pick one of the factions, but in fact she belongs to 3 of them. They do a test and then she realizes that she doesn't belong to one single faction. That makes her a divergent. And being a divergent in this world is very dangerous, and Tris has to avoid people knowing about her being divergent. This is a mind-blowing series. I especially loved the 3rd book. It was just amazing. I can't get it out of my head, and I really recommend this series to everyone who likes young adult and who likes a great series about great things. Then we have one of my all-time favorite books of this year, and that is Winger by Andrew Smith. I have mentioned this book a lot recently, and that is because I just love it so much. It deals with Ryan Dean, the main character, who is only 14 years old. He goes to a boarding school with 16 years olds, so that means he's the little kid. This book is basically about Ryan wanting to break out from this impression of him being the little kid. So he tries to be cool, he tries to get all of the beautiful girls, he tries to get into fights, and things happen in this book. It contains so many things. It is hilarious, it is serious, it is dark, it is interesting, and it is lovable, and I just loved it for that. I believe that a book that contains all of that that's just meant to be amazing, and this is definitely an amazing book. Then 2013 was the year in which I read the Hunger Games trilogy, and that means I also read the 2nd book, which is Catching Fire. The Hunger Games trilogy deals with Katniss Everdeen, who lives in a world in which children are picked each year to participate in the Hunger Games. 12 boys and 12 girls have to participate, and that means they have to fight for their lives. You are locked into an arena and you have to fight for your life, and only one will be the winner, and that is the one who survives. This is a very original idea, and it is a brutal idea. I loved it just because it was amazingly written. It is just, I'm speechless. This is just amazing, and you have to read this series if if you haven't already. Next book that I picked is City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, and this is another book in a series. This series is the Mortal Instruments series, and it consists of 5 books. This is the 3rd book, and the reason that I picked this one is because I believe this book has the best description and the best story. The series basically deals with Clara Frey, who lives in a world in which we have demons and shadow hunters. The shadow hunters are people who search for the demons and kill them in order to make them disappear from Earth. In the beginning of the series, Clara knows nothing about these demons and shadow hunters, but she realizes that her mother is actually a shadow hunter. Once she has realized that, her world changes. So many things happen in this series, and that is why I love it so much. It is action-filled, you are never bored when reading it, and you just fly through the pages, even though it's quite long. Read this series, it's really, really good. In 2013, I finally got to read The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. And a lot of people love this book, and I just needed to read it because I was very curious, and now I finally understand why they love it. This book is about Liesel Meminger, who is a German girl who lives with her foster parents in Germany during World War II. Liesel is a girl who likes to steal books. Once she has stolen a book, she reads in it and she gradually becomes a better and a better reader. The thing about this book that's so amazing is that it is told by Death. Death is the narrator in this book, and that is very original, and I love that. It's beautifully written and it is very touching, and I'm not going to reveal too much, but you must pick this book up if you want to read a great book that will maybe make you cry. The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. I was very curious to read this book because J.K. Rowling is one of my all-time favorite authors, and I was not disappointed. This is not like Harry Potter. This is a different kind of book, but it was so good. In this book we hear about Packford City and the people living in this city. Some people are snobbish, some people are gossiping, some people are teenagers who are fighting with their parents, and it's just so hilarious and great to hear about these characters. There is a man named Barry Fairbrother who dies. When he dies, he leaves a seat in the parish council, and that means that someone new has to take over that seat. A lot of people would like to do that, so people start fighting and doing tricks, and it's all just hilarious. They want to have this empty seat. The best thing about this book is that it has some beautiful characters in it, and J.K. Rowling is amazing at creating settings, and she's amazing at character development, and this is really good. And then we have now come to the last book of my top 13 of 2013, and that is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This was my first book by John Green, and I am completely in love with it. It deals with Hazel, who has a tumor, so that means of course that she will one day die, and even though she's a child, she has to live with that fact. In this book, Hazel meets Augustus. She meets him at a Cancer Kid support group, and she of course falls in love with him, and they have some amazing experiences during this book. Things start happening, and it's just so touching and heartbreaking and really, really good. If you want to read something that is kind of sad but still really, really good, you need to pick up this book. And that's it for today. I have now shown you all of the 13 books that I have picked as my top 13 of 2013. I hope I inspired some of you to read some of the books that I've mentioned, because I want to spread the word. I want for people to be inspired to read some of the amazing books that I have read. If you have already read some of them, I would very much like to know what you thought of them. Comment below if you have any comments. I hope you enjoyed my video. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you like my videos. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.